Joanna Gaines collapsed on set, cutting off filming for just seconds. An hour later, she was taken straight to the hospital. A few days later, Chip Gaines canceled all his schedules and turned down a multi-million-dollar television contract. Joanna was diagnosed with a dangerous autoimmune disease, forcing her to stop working indefinitely. And when everything seemed to be falling apart, Chip chose to retreat, to hold his wife's hand tightly through this earthquake. Joanna began to feel exhausted in late 2024, when Mini Rennie entered its main filming phase.
Anytime I look at design, I think about jeans. The wallpaper stopping at that point kind of accentuated the muffin top. What I always like to tell my clients is, as your home evolves and as the story of your family evolves, you want to make these spaces work.
She often had to sit down between scenes, something that had never happened in her entire television career. The crew noticed her visibly thinner appearance, her sleep-deprived eyes, and the way Joanna rubbed her sides every time she bent down to check her blueprints. Nonetheless, because of the tight shooting schedule, everything continued. Then one morning in February 2025, as the director was counting down to filming the living room renovation scene, Joanna collapsed. Initial tests showed serious signs of an immune system problem. After extensive testing, doctors suspected that Joanna had systemic lupus erythematosus, an autoimmune disease that damages many organs in the body, including the skin, joints, and kidneys. This is a disease that requires absolute rest during flare-ups, along with a series of long-term treatment regimens. The news was not made public, but Joanna's absence from Mini Rennie and Magnolia's media projects was immediately noticeable. In March 2025, Chip and Joanna abruptly canceled a live interview with The Today Show, where they were scheduled to announce the new series schedule. While the press began to ask questions, Magnolia Network posted a brief statement on its website. Joanna is taking time to care for herself and her family. We thank everyone for their support. The message didn't say much, but it was enough to let viewers know that the situation was not simple. Tensions were further heightened when a behind-the-scenes video from Mini Rennie leaked, showing Joanna being helped into a car by an assistant, head bowed, visibly exhausted. Fans noticed she was absent from the series' internal premiere in April. The prolonged silence fueled social media speculation, from Joanna's withdrawal from Magnolia to detailed health analyses based on her rare appearances. In a rare move, Chip posted a photo of himself holding Joanna's hand on Instagram, along with the caption, "The light is always there, but sometimes it needs a little protection to continue shining." The photo received millions of shares in just 48 hours. It was the first time Chip publicly confirmed that Joanna was not okay. On May 1, 2025, Magnolia Network released a nearly 2-minute video on YouTube. In it, Joanna sits next to Chip, her voice hoarse but calm. "I'm facing some health challenges. It's not easy to talk about, but I know I'm not alone." Chip looks at his wife and says, "We're learning to slow down, and I'll be here until Joe is ready to come back." The video ends with the two holding hands in their backyard. No background music, no special effects, just the bare truth. After that video, the rest of Mini Rennie's shooting schedule was adjusted. Press conferences were canceled, and Joanna disappeared from social media altogether. On Magnolia Network's platforms, new content no longer included her name as an executive producer. Joanna's silence didn't stop fans from caring. In fact, every little move involving her was closely monitored, and in the midst of it all, Chip began making some unexpected decisions, stepping back from the spotlight, turning down new projects, and choosing to disappear with the woman he had always called the heart of every design. Since his early days on Fixer Upper, Chip has been a funny, resourceful, energetic guy. He dances around construction sites, bangs on walls with a big smile, and is the perfect contrast to Joanna's calm, sophisticated side. In every frame, Chip is the driving force that drives the story forward. But when Joanna starts to disappear, people see a different Chip. In March 2025, when Joanna was hospitalized for a new treatment regimen, Chip showed up alone at an internal Magnolia meeting. He didn't speak, just sat quietly in the back of the room, flipping through project documents they had previously reviewed together. Longtime employees said that Chip often left the office earlier than usual to go home. There was no official explanation, no announcement from management, but everyone knew what was going on. HGTV at the time proposed launching a new season of Fixer Upper with a more modern format. They wanted Chip to host episodes in cities other than Waco, expanding the Fixer Upper brand internationally. This was a big deal, potentially bringing in tens of millions of dollars in revenue for Magnolia Network over the next 3 years. Nevertheless, Chip declined. HGTV representatives confirmed to the press that the two sides paused negotiations due to personal reasons on the part of the producers. Magnolia did not comment further. In April 2025, Chip issued an internal announcement suspending all personal filming activities until the end of the year. He also proactively withdrew from the role of executive producer of upcoming programs. Projects in the pre-production stage will be handed over to the production team at Blind Nil, Chip's company specializing in technical support and post-production, instead of him directly participating as before. A source close to Magnolia said Chip spent most of his time at home with Joanna during her treatment. They often took walks in the garden behind their Waco home, which was converted from an old farmhouse. He also personally drove the kids to and from school every day, something he hadn't been able to do consistently for the past decade due to his busy schedule. Chip's Instagram account, once known for its short comedy videos, now features only still images. A wooden bench in the yard with the words, "This afternoon, here," a coffee mug next to a mostly defaced blueprint, captioned, "On hold," and the most precious photo, Joanna, sleeping on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, with Chip's arm resting lightly on her shoulder. No words, no filters, just natural light from the window. Chip didn't announce his retirement. He didn't leave Magnolia, but he clearly chose a new role to step back so that Joanna wouldn't have to walk alone on an unexpected path. Amidst the pressure from partners, media, and business branches, Chip chose to stay silent and refuse. He didn't chase opportunities, didn't take advantage of the echoes of his past success to retain his audience. He chose the right time to stop, not because he was afraid of failure, but because he knew who needed him more than any contract out there. While he has not spoken publicly, Chip has been involved in internal activities with Magnolia's founding team. He retains his role as brand owner, but is temporarily not a media representative. His name is still listed in the official introduction on the Magnolia Network website, but fans last saw him on television in the final episode of Fixer Upper the Lake House, which aired in June 2024. Elsewhere, Joanna was beginning her second round of treatment, her body weaker but her gaze steady, and Chip was still sitting in the chair to the left of the hospital bed, in the same spot he had sat in more than 20 years earlier, when Joanna gave birth to their first child. In all his public appearances, Chip had never uttered the two words goodbye, but his actions said enough. Strong rear. As Chip and Joanna walked away, all eyes turned to the Magnolia team, but what was surprising was that the person who did most of the work afterward wasn't a veteran director or producer, but their eldest daughter, Ella, who was 17. Ella, a high school senior, had started interning at Magnolia a few months before her mother was hospitalized. She'd been following her mother into the office, taking notes on designs, asking the creative team questions about mood boards and Magnolia journal layouts. When Joanna stepped back, Ella didn't just stay, she stepped up. Initially, Ella was only assisting with internal mini-Rennie meetings, but after a few weeks, She took on the role of relaying ideas from Joanna to the production team via short phone calls when her mother could talk. She learned to schedule post-production edits, handle emails from partner Target, and micromanage Magnolia Network's social media posts to stay on brand. Though she didn't have an official title, Ella became the bridge between a Magnolia that was running slow and a Joanna who needed a break. Duke, MEK, and Crew. The three remaining children have also changed their routines. Chip shared in a brief interview with the in-house producer that Crew often asks, "How is Mommy today?" every time he picks her up from preschool. MEK helps prepare healthy meals according to the nutritionist's orders. She prints menus and sticks them on the refrigerator, marking each day in pink marker. Duke follows his dad to office meetings, taking notes for Joanna to follow up on later. No one is assigned a role, but each child has chosen their own way to maintain the family's fragile balance. A Magnolia employee recounted the emotional moment when all 5 of her children sat together in the warehouse, carefully checking each cover for release. Joanna watched on the security camera and burst into tears. It was the first time she had cried since her diagnosis, not because of the pain, but because she knew she was not alone. Although she has avoided social media, Joanna has kept close to her through short recordings and voice messages. Ella edited a 45-second video of those recordings into a short post, along with photos of the family having dinner together. The clip, posted to Magnolia Network's official Instagram account, has received nearly 4 million views in 3 days. In it, Joanna says, "I've been running for 20 years, and now it's time to slow down. Not to stop, but so my kids can keep up." The presence of family, especially the active role of the children, not only helps keep Magnolia going, but also helps Joanna not feel like a burden. The values that Chip and Joanna have talked about in hundreds of fixer-upper episodes about family, love, and devotion are no longer words. They are actions. And in that silence, fans understand that the Gaines family is not fighting. They are living authentically, gently, persistently, and together the way any good home needs a solid foundation, a slow empire. In 2013, Fixer Upper premiered on hgtv. Within 1 season, Chip and Joanna Gaines became household names across the country. They brought the same old formula home renovation, but they did it differently. Joanna defined the rustic, minimalist, sophisticated aesthetic, while Chip did the construction and kept the show's energy up. Old homes were transformed into inspiring living spaces, and viewers couldn't stop watching. Fixer Upper was so successful that it went beyond the screen. By the time the final season ended in 2018, Chip and Joanna had already expanded their Empire Magnolia Market at the Silos, a shopping, dining, and entertainment complex in the heart of Waco. Magnolia Journal, a lifestyle magazine. Hearth and Hand, a home furnishings brand in partnership with Target. And then Magnolia Network, their own television channel, set to air in 2022. Each move was precise, each resonated, and each was anchored by the core values they had pursued from the beginning: design with a family feel. Joanna wasn't just a designer. She was a cultural icon. She influenced the interiors of the decade, from white subway tiles to sliding barn doors to neutral paint colors. She made her mark on everything. Chip wasn't just a builder, either. He created the image of the modern Texan man, strong but affectionate, funny but devoted to his family. But with the scale comes more responsibility. In 2017, they were embroiled in a legal dispute with former partners at Magnolia Realty. That same year, they were also criticized for not including LGBTQ+ characters on their show, a media pressure they chose to overcome silently. In 2018, the couple was fined $40,000 for violating lead paint codes while renovating several homes. When faced with a crisis, Chip and Joanna don't attack. They step back, deal with it quietly, and move forward. By 2023, Magnolia House, one of their most prominent properties, was up for sale for $995,000. At the time, it was seen as a simple asset restructuring, but looking back from the current context, it looks more like a move to prepare for deeper changes. Fixer-upper the Lake House, airing in mid-2024, marked the return of Chip and Joanna after a long absence, but it also marked the end of an era. The show was filmed in a single house, no longer a series format. Everything was slower, more intimate, more emotional. Mini Rennie, released in May 2025, was the last project directly associated with Joanna before she stopped working. In mid-2024, they announced a 3-month summer break. No filming, no press conferences, just a private time to reevaluate Magnolia's direction. Chip said in an interview with Today. Now, after all that, it's clear that this was when Joanna started to show symptoms. Magnolia didn't collapse, but it was clearly slowing down. Not because it was failing, but because the founders needed to live up to what they'd always preached: health, family, and peace. They've renovated hundreds of homes with the philosophy of letting each home reflect the people who live in it. Now, as their own lives change, Magnolia changes with them, quietly but steadily. And even though the screen may temporarily dim, the faith Chip and Joanna built is still present. In every brick, every roof they touch, love never stops. Joanna's return to the silos after more than 3 months of absence was unannounced. There was no media, no camera crew, just her closest friends and a few longtime colleagues in the Magnolia Market compound. She wore a thick coat and a cap, her figure slimmer but her eyes still clear and determined. It was a small internal event organized by Ella called Welcome Home, Mom. A few booths had been set up. The new product display had large prints of Joanna's everyday life, unedited, unstaged. She walked in, was surprised to see everyone clapping, then burst into tears amid the prolonged applause. Ella led her mother through each booth, whispering about what she and the team had preserved during Joanna's treatment. Crew hugged her mother's leg, whispering something that made Joanna laugh. It was the first time in months that anyone had seen a full smile on her face. She walked slowly, spoke little, but kept up the habit of touching each product, adjusting each display corner. The habit of a designer who never stops. After that day, Joanna didn't return to work at her usual pace. Instead, she stayed involved behind the scenes on small projects, mostly through design notes or short phone calls. She also began writing a treatment diary, not to publish it, but to organize what had happened. Chip encouraged her to turn her notes into a book. The idea grew into a serious project, one that would be published under the Magnolia Books label and would focus on the family's journey to recovery and how to keep afloat during what seemed like the most tumultuous time. Chip continues to handle general operations, but his public appearances are limited. Magnolia Network's strategy meetings are held remotely. Top executives have more autonomy, with direct instructions from the couple. They don't talk about handing over the reins, but they are clearly redefining their own roles in the empire they've built over more than a decade. Joanna is no longer the woman who does it all model that the press once touted. Someone who can build a media empire, be a mother of 5 children, host shows, design, write books, and inspire with just a smile. Now, she is a woman who is living true to her own limits. She accepts that her body needs rest, that health cannot be taken lightly, that no one can carry everything forever just by trying. She faces that with silence, with the decision to withdraw from the stage when she is no longer strong enough, and with absolute faith in the love that her family has for her. Without shouting, without slogans, Joanna overcomes this stage with the sobriety and simplicity that make her who she is. Chip and Joanna Gaines' life was never a TV show. It was a real journey, with highs, lows, and moments when they had to choose what was most important: family. those who followed them from their first home in Waco to the Magnolia Empire, today know one thing for sure: they didn't build their success on talent alone, but on not letting go of each other when life took a turn. If you found this story to be touching, please like, share it with someone who needs a boost, and subscribe so you don't miss out on more real-life journeys like this. Leave a comment below, because sometimes just a word of support is enough to give someone the strength they need.